How do, and welcome back. Today's brew day, and today I'm brewing Dark Rock Brewing Tribute to Tribute Cornish Ale. It's an extract kit. I think they also sell it as an all grain kit as well, but it uses some grains, but these aren't specialty grains like we usually use. This is pale malt, and we'll be doing like a little bit of a mini mash in the kettle when it comes up to temperature, which is about 66 degrees. These will steep or mash for about 30 minutes, and then the liquid that's left over, the wort, that will be what we use to add the hops and to bitter and to make the beer. It also comes with 3 kilograms of liquid malt extract, which I'm not a fan of. Well, the pouches particularly, but that is added right at the end. And then there are 3 hop additions, which I have in these little bowls and bags ready to go. I think the first one, when you get to rolling boil, and then 45 minutes you add the second, and the third is for the hop stand. So I'm just waiting for this to get up to strike temperature, and then I will add the grains. Well, as you saw, my grains are in. I used a bit of a string on the muslin bag because it wasn't big enough to actually overhang, and I don't want the bag to touch the bottom in case I've got to turn the heat back on to keep that temperature around about 66 degrees. Usually this is very good at retaining heat, so it might hold the temperature, maybe lose a degree or two, but just hold the temperature around about 64, 66. But just in case, I tied a piece of string around the top of the muslin bag and now I've got it just tied up. You may be able to see it here. Just got it, not tied, just wound round the handle to keep it off the bottom of the pan. That's going to steep or mash now for half an hour. I might actually just give it a jiggle every few minutes just to make sure that all of the grains are in contact with the water, and then we sparge. So I'm going to put a kettle on now.
He should kill himself.
Well, I'm just bringing the wort up to a boil now, and I'm letting the grains just drain. It does say in the instructions not to squeeze the bag. I've heard mixed views on that. Some say that if you squeeze the bag you can get like an astringent bitterness from the must be like the tannins in the grains. Others say science has shown that the amount of pressure you need to force out those tannin like bittering qualities is far more than a man could apply to a grain bag. But I'm going to follow the instructions, and it says don't squeeze the bag, so I'm not. It just says let it all drain out naturally. So after this has come to a rolling boil, it's pretty much the same as always. To be honest, this is no different from doing an extract brew with specialty grains. It's just you've got to use that kettle and just sparge the grains to get all the flavour out of them, which I've done. And once it comes to a rolling boil, I'll just start adding the hops. I don't think I've got to film that. You saw me do it in the last brew day video. Well, certainly with the proper job. I've got 3 hops to add. The first one will be right at the start. That will be for bittering. I don't know what the hops are. They don't actually give you ingredient list like the Brew UK. Their kits they tell you exactly how much hops there are. Unfortunately, they don't, this Black Rock. So I don't know what the hops are, but this is the first edition. Feels like about 10 grams. And then at 45 minutes, there's a smaller edition, and they'll boil for 15 minutes, and then you turn the flame out, let it come down to 90 degrees according to the instructions, and then add the aroma hops, and you let them infuse for 10 minutes. And whilst these are infusing, you warm up the bag, the pouch of liquid malt extract. So I'll come back when I'm at this stage. Well, whilst the hops are in, and I've got everything ready, even my fermenter's already sanitised, so I'm going to give it a blast with some Star San, just to be on the safe side. But everything's done, I've got nothing to do now. So I thought I'd try a beer. Now, I don't know why, I've just got this idea in my head to brew a brown ale. You know, a nice autumn beer. So this weekend I went out, yesterday it was, and I bought a couple of cans of Newcastle Brown Ale. Just to get some inspiration. Unfortunately, it's not giving me any. This, I'm sure this wasn't the original Newcastle Brown Ale. Used to be owned by Scottish and Newcastle, but I think it was sold in the early 2000s to Heineken. And this does have a lot of Heineken characteristics to it. It's like an ale version of a Heineken lager. One beer I do like is Samuel Smith's Nut Brown Ale. I had a bottle of that once. I might get another one for inspiration. But yeah, I plan to make a brown ale, but not like this. Very refreshing, but very lager-like. A little bit of malt. But yeah, I would hope mine comes out a little bit better. So I've been looking through my books to get some inspiration instead, and there is a brown ale, a British brown ale listed in here, which looks good, but it doesn't use chocolate malt, and I want to try and use some chocolate malts to give a bit of nuttiness. This uses toasted malt, caramel malt and dark roasted malt. And of course the pale malt for the extract. So I've got this book that I'm going to take inspiration from, but also this one, it's a 1990s reprint of a 1970s book, Brewing Beers Like Those You Buy. This has a couple of brown ales. They've got the Newcastle Brown Ale. Now, this is a 1970s book, so this will be more like the real thing, not like your Heineken's version of it, I'm sure. And actually it's quite a simple beer. Pale malt, crystal, chocolate. But all you've got for hops is Fuggles. And it's just for bittering. So there's no flavour hops. There is no aroma hops, unless they split them up, but they don't. Let me just have a read. Nope. You just put them all in, boil for 1.5 hours, and that's it. So there's no aroma or flavour hops. So all the flavours coming from those specialty grains and the pale malt extract. So that's one I had in mind. I may actually just do a hybrid, a bit of a mismatch of all of them. And the other one, it's just, I think it's on the next page. No, I can't find it now. It was called Austell Brewery, which, oh, there it is. Austell Brewery, which was in Swindon. I think it's probably closed now. I've never heard of Austell Brewery. So it's probably one of those breweries that sadly are no longer. And they produced a beer called Brown Jack Best Brown Ale. Now they don't use chocolate malt, but what's interesting is, whereas this book is an all grain book, this is actually extract, this recipe, and they just use dark malt extract. Dark malt extract, crushed roast barley, brown sugar, fuggles. Oh, let me have a read. Yes, again, only for bittering. Fuggles hops for bittering. There's no aroma hops and there are no flavour hops. Okay, that must be common to the style then. So I think I'm going to sort of like do a hybrid, taking bits from this book, the 2 recipes, and the complete homebrew beer book as well, and come up with my own brown ale. Yeah, I don't know why, I just got this idea in my head and I can't get rid of it, to brew a brown ale. But it's going to be better than this one. Yeah, not very lager-like. Just before I go, I'll tell you one thing. When it approached the boil, there was no hop rake. It frothed up a little, but nothing like what we usually expect. It wasn't a problem at all. Very, very little froth. And of course now it's at a rolling boil, my hops are in, but I thought that was interesting. Steep this 1 kilogram of pale malt. Very, very little foam on the top. I didn't have to watch it at all. So that was interesting. Usually I expect a great big, almost boiling over, and I've got to turn the temperature off, move everything aside. But no, there was nothing. So that's interesting. Just a little froth on the top, that's all. Okay, I'll come back to you a bit later. Right, everything's ready now. I've taken the hop bags out. The last one went in, flame out. I let it cool down a little bit as per instructions, and it was infusing in the wort for 10 minutes. I've got this pan of hot water, so I'm going to be careful with the malt extract in. And now it's time to pour this into here. This isn't going to be easy. I've got my scissors, clean scissors. Just give them a spray Star San. I'm going to give the bag a bit of a spray as well. I hate pouches, but let's see how it goes. I've got my phone set up here, so hopefully you'll be able to see me pour it in. But really, this isn't fun. So let's give it a go. What I don't like about pouches is they're bloody hard to hold. Trying to stir it at the same time, just to so it dissolves easily, doesn't get stuck to the bottom. It's going all over me blinking spoon. Look at that, flipping heck. I hate pouches, absolutely hate them. The worst is yet to come though, because you've got to pour boiling water into this bloody thing. Right. This is the bit I really hate. You've got to now pour very hot water into this blinking bag and try and clean it out. It leaves so much gunk still in the pouch. Tins are just so much easier. It's just so. I'm gonna got about half a litre in there. Oh, my lights have gone out again. No, I just don't like pouches. They're just really horrible. Just give us cans, please. Give us cans. So easy. 2 cans. That's 3 kilograms. And they're just so easy to work with. These are just horrible, horrible. Well, I got most of it in. There was still quite a lot left in the pouch. I really don't like pouches. It's a bugbear of mine. Tins, so easy to work with. You can hold them easily, you can scrape them out. You know, they're easy just to fill. Oh, I hate pouches. Anyway, it's all done. The only thing now to do is turn the tap on. I've got it. I've got my pipe in place. The fermenter's on the floor, so it's just transfer now. And there it is. I'll come back when this is all finished. So there it is. It's not at pitching temperature yet, so I can't do a hydrometer reading. But yeah, I'll take this indoors now, and when it comes down to about 20 degrees, I'll pitch the yeast. Take a hydrometer reading and pitch the yeast. But before that, I'm going to pitch something they call, hang on, it's over here, Pure Brew. So this is dechlorinator of the water. So it's water treatment, but it also contains yeast nutrient as well. My waters doesn't really have any chlorine taste. I did about a couple of years ago. I actually got a breakdown from the council of our water, which actually comes about 80 miles away, 100 miles away. It's Lake District water, and it's very, very soft water indeed, and there's not a lot of chlorine in it at all. So I don't usually have a problem, but I'm going to use this because they gave it me as part of the kit, and that's it. Overall, it was an easy brew day. It's just like any other with extracts. You've got your grains, you steep them, or in this case mash them, as it's called, and then yeah, you just add your dry malt extract, and you add your hops. So very easy brew day. The only thing I don't like are those pouches. I'm sorry. I know some people think they're great, but I just hate them. And I think it's because I had that accident with it, where I just basically lost the whole pouch over my kitchen unit. I just don't like them at all. I think they're fiddly. I think it's hard work. A tin is just easy. It's solid. It's, you know, easy to hold, easy to clean out. There's still quite a bit of extract still in that pouch. So maybe 2.8 kilograms went in a 3 kilogram pouch. But you know, that's that. Overall though, for £27.50 it's good value for money, because you do get everything, including these little extras like Pure Brew. You also get your yeast. I forgot to mention, I think it was in the last video where I mentioned about when I was unboxing this, and I mentioned that Brew UK, you know, they're the same price. Actually they're not, they're a bit more expensive. I think they're about £30 for their kits, and you've got to buy the yeast separately. So I get the dry yeast, so straight away you're at like £34, 33, £34, and then you've got your delivery on top. And you don't get things like Pure Brew, you don't get the grain sock. Yeah, but what I like about them is it's dry malt, which I prefer over liquid malt. And in the instructions, they actually tell you exactly what hops and the amount of hops that you're putting into the wort at each time point. They all come pre-packaged for you, but they actually tell you what's in those hop sachets. You haven't got a clue with this. They don't tell you anything. It's just B, C, D. Just add this one in at the start of the boil, 45 minutes in, hops down. They don't tell you anything about what's in the hop sachets. They don't tell you what grains you're using. I'm assuming it's just pale malt, but there could have been some specialty malt in there as well. I don't know, because there's no information. That's, for me, that's a big downer. because when you know what's in it, you can, and you may not like the beer, or you may think you can improve it. You know where you can improve it because you know exactly what's in the ingredients. With this, you haven't got a clue. So overall, despite the fact that it may work out at an extra £5, £6, I think I prefer, well, I know I prefer the Brew UK. You don't get all the bits and pieces, but you usually have them knocking about anyway. But they tell you exactly what's in the beer, and that's useful information. It also means, of course, that you can recreate that beer without having to buy the kit again, and you can probably source the raw ingredients much cheaper, or a little bit cheaper, than buying it in the kit form. So I would have to probably say I think I'll be going with the Brew UK rather than the Dark Rock, but that's only my personal opinion. And yes, a lot of it is down to the fact that I just hate pouches. That's why I haven't done many Mangrove Jack brews, because they've gone with these pouches and I just don't like them at all. Right, well, thanks for watching. It's been a pleasure. I'm still struggling through this Nuki Brown. Let me tell you, I'm sure mine is going to taste a lot better than this. But I'll see you again in the next video. And when will that be? Say next weekend. I might put one up, a little one, during the week. But next weekend, the Hoppy Copper Bitter, which I sort of like modded with bits and pieces of leftover stuff I had, that's in the pressure barrel, and it will be ready, I think, for next weekend. So I might do a taste test of that. And the proper job is in the bottles, conditioning. That should be ready, but I might give that a bit longer and then do a really nice side-by-side test with the commercial version. So that's what's coming up. But hope you have a nice day, and I'll see you again in the next video. Bye bye for now.